Hello, and welcome to Herp A Derp, a podcast about breaking the stigma on herpes and empowering the community. I'm your host, Erin Devost. As always, you can review my episodes on YouTube or find the link to the channel on the podcast Instagram page at Herp A Derp Podcast. Thanks! Hey, Herp A Derpers! Welcome to 2019! And welcome to the revamped, refurbished, replatformed Herp A Derp podcast. I am super excited to announce, and as many of you already know, that Herp A Derp is now on a new platform called the Anchor app. And the reason why I have made the switch, and yes, I'll still be continuing to post on YouTube, but for me, I highly encourage you to join the Anchor app because the Anchor app allows you to reach multiple podcasts on many different types of platforms, including Spotify, PodBean, SoundCloud, and many more. So that way we're able to really get out there and really reach every single one of you. Yes, YouTube is a big worldwide web in itself, but at the same time, to truly be a podcast, I needed to be on a podcast channel. So I'm really excited to really see and take in this year and add a new spin to it. And for this, I also wanted to take a moment to reintroduce myself. I noticed I've had a lot of new followers recently, starting from around 40 to when I started to almost 200. I believe around 180 followers right now, just on Instagram alone. So I want to take the time to thank you for everyone who's followed my journey so far. And also, welcome to the new Herp A Derpers. I really am excited for you to listen in to what the journey that I'm going through, but also others' journeys as well who are wanting to find themselves in the midst of a herpes diagnosis. For those of you who are new to the podcast, Herp A Derp is a bi-weekly podcast about breaking the stigma on herpes and empowering the community. It's empowering for anyone affected by herpes to rebuild confidence, make healthy lifestyle choices, and to revitalize their relationships and outlook on life. In this podcast, I'll tell you my personal experiences and share inspirational motivation that keeps me going. This podcast means more than talking about herpes. It is about being real about the virus and being real with you. I want you to feel comfortable sharing your stories eventually and also asking questions, or maybe you know the answer that everyone might be thinking. Maybe you are the supportive partner or friend seeking an outlet to better understanding with what someone with herpes is going through. I want to be that someone for you. My guests on the show will talk about their challenges and triumphs over herpes, talk with experts with answers to the taboo questions, and be positive. And honestly, I want to see you be brave. Another thing I'll be talking about on this podcast is Herp A Derp moments. A Herp A Derp moment is an expression when someone has come across hiccups in life we may not understand but learn to rise above. Herpes is the Herp A Derp moment in my life. Each day I am learning to love myself and be more kind to my body and also of those around me. To not judge others based off of their decisions, to learn to understand, to try to relate, and also sometimes we cannot imagine others' experiences. But there and here is a space to offer that comfort of being able to share on that type of level. I'm single and I have never been in a serious relationship, yet I have herpes. I know what it's like to go through the herpy derpy emotional roller coaster. From getting the news from your doctor to having to tell your partner that you have herpes to really thinking and reflecting on yourself, what it means to have herpes, to have this stigma of negative thoughts that go through your head when you receive this type of news. And I don't want anyone to go through what I have experienced, but I also need to share my experience in order for everyone to learn from my experience. the thought that we've ever have the stigma on ourselves to really treat ourselves that badly about ourselves based off what we have and what we can't help what we have really puts things in perspective for you. It really made me think how to be more positive and also to really stop giving myself the negative thoughts. Stop thinking that I was just a slut, that I was disgusting, that I had no purpose in my life anymore based off my diagnosis and what I had. And I want to change that conversation, and that is why I had created Herp A Derp, was to create a safe space for everyone to share their stories, to listen to my stories, but also to take in advice and news as it comes, and not only from myself and my own research, but also from the network Herp A Derp is a part of, which is called HANDS, which is Herpes Activist Networking to Dismantle Stigma. And so that was a big part of my 2018 to join this group. And now we move forward in 2019 to see much more what we can become. With that being said, I take you back to sharing my diagnosis story. I'm raw and real in how I tell my story, so please bear with me. I was thinking before airing this episode how much I really wanted to share with you my story on the second episode. But then I thought, if I don't say it the first time, will it get any easier? The reason why I wanted to share the story of how I got herpes is because I find sharing our stories of how we got the virus will help us talk about it and move forward. I truly understand how herpes really isn't an easy thing to talk about. It's almost like being that one friend who lost their virginity before everyone else did. Healing has been something I have been searching for ever since I was diagnosed, ever since I asked all those questions to my doctor. All I wanted to know was, what is out there for me? What type of support groups or even podcasts I can listen to help me figure out my way. A way to find a cure, if I could, but also something that I can try to find and gain my confidence in again. That was the biggest thing I lost, and I really wanted to gain it back because it was such a daunting experience for me. Like, it's something, herpes, I don't wish herpes upon anyone. It sucks. And so I want to change the way that we think about it, how I've been thinking about it, and what more we can be doing for ourselves. My story may seem a bit dramatic and over the top, but the experience is real and also a bit hilarious. Sharing the fact we have herpes is daunting, but being brave enough to share how we found out and telling our partner we have herpes makes us that much stronger. Here goes my Herp A Derp tale. They say he was just a friend. The friend I've been hooking up with for years. We were consistent with one another. Like sneaking out of our parents' houses every week kind of consistent. We trusted and respected each other, meaning we had unprotected sex. Little did we realize it would lead to the herpes. 3 years ago in October, I didn't feel quite right. I slept with my friend the night before and something was just off. I blamed it on the full moon and my period was coming soon. The flames inside of me, of pain, were not of the Red Sea I was expecting to have in a few days. You know, the good old period. Taking my morning pee was the most painful burn I have ever experienced. I thought, what the hell did I drink last night? As I looked down, I noticed sores popping out of me. At this point, I was like, what the fuck? I gotta WebMD this shit. As I am sitting there, on the toilet, I looked up remedies on how to calm this burning hot sauce rumpus I am going through right now. Those blistery sores. First remedy result, pouring water at the same time as I pee, and extra strength Tylenol. I'm all for it. Did that right away. The first diagnosis result, herpes. Herpes. I went into work that day and immediately called my OBGYN as they opened. It was the most painful afternoon at work I have ever experienced. Mind you, it was on a Friday, and they told me I wouldn't find out the test results until Sunday. Well, I thought, at least I could avoid antibiotics for the weekend since I was going to cider stock at Woodchuck Cidery on Saturday. What I have must be chlamydia or crabs, anything but herpes, right? Cider stock was a great way to distract myself while anxiously waiting for the test results. As much as I thought about having fun and ignoring the pain did not go away. I had 2 ciders that night and was at a point of disgust by feeling really unhealthy about myself. I felt the need to be away from the bands, the crowd, and even my friends. I needed to be alone. Everything what I was feeling did not feel right. Remember how I had to pee? Yeah, try that in a porta potty. I hide my pain very well from people. I am a happy person, but that moment, I was afraid to open up to close friends that something was wrong with me, that I was in physical pain and feeling really emotional. Not the period kind. On Sunday, mid-morning, I received the life-changing news. When I picked up the call, I did not want to believe what I already knew. So then the doctor proceeded to tell me, Erin, you have type 1 genital herpes. I cringed at this news. I then started to cry right on the phone as I got these results. But then I had asked if I can please have a prescription to cure herpes right away. I wanted to take care of this as soon as possible. The doctor on duty said to me, there isn't a cure for herpes, but I'll write you a prescription for you for Valtrex. That was the Herp A Derp moment that changed me. I now have something that is not curable. I spiraled into any questions I could think of and booked an appointment for that week to get checked out to ask more questions. I have fucking herpes. I have fucking herpes. Once I got off the phone, I had to ask myself, what am I going to tell my friend who I've been sleeping with 4 years that I have herpes? Herp A Derp and herpes. Fuck, I kept thinking. Why am I an idiot? And why me? Why did I deserve to have herpes? I started getting angry, and I knew I had to tell my friend what happened and figure out where these herpes came from. It's not like they came out of snow like fucking daisies. What does a millennial do in this situation? You guessed it. I texted him that I wanted to talk to him and see him later. Right? Totally how to start this conversation. My friend acted as if I wanted to fuck again. Really? Flattering, but now was not the time. I was fuming and flaming with pain. I didn't tell him why because I wanted to say it in person. Because I am an in-person person. He made the joke if I was going to cut his dick off. I said, I might be tonight. That late night, I drove to his house where his parents weren't home and opened up small talk and said, I have herpes. I have herpes. His face dropped. Like I had said the unthinkable. You know, the look of, are you pregnant? And no, this can't be true. I held back my shaking and tears from his reaction. We both did not expect each other's responses. My friend apologized over and over again. And in one of his repetitive apologies, he realized he wasn't the only one he had unprotected sex with. I knew all along I should have waited. Waited meaning to have unprotected sex with someone. You see, I've never been in a serious relationship before, and not that him and I were not serious, but I've never been in a serious relationship before where I have said I love you to someone. And saying I love you is such a big deal to me that, having sex doesn't mean you're not loved in some way, more physical, of course, but to have that emotional connection with someone. So, in a way, long story short, I have never had a boyfriend. And I'm completely okay with that because, yes, I've had crushes and, of course, I've had sex before. But doesn't mean I wasn't or didn't want a relationship. But the kind of love that I'm looking for just hasn't found me yet. And I will definitely talk about that in another episode because finding love and figuring out what you want to truly do for yourself, it's amazing to be independent and figure out who you are by yourself versus having and being in a relationship when you're not sure where you want to go. And so I want to break even the stigma on that as well, that yes, I am a single woman who has never been in a relationship before, but doesn't mean I do not deserve a love that I know I can give. I know I can give, but I know I can receive a greater love as well. Just like Kendall from Ari's season of The Bachelor, we all deserve love, whether you've been in a relationship before or not. Yes, it is unfortunate that I do have herpes, but I do not let that define me at all. And that's one thing I really stand for and to really be myself for. Just really wanting to let others know that you are not alone. I know I can't be the only one out there who has experienced this. I mean, my story to be, somewhat not out of the ordinary, but also a pretty, in a way, situation to be going through. And just definitely talking about those steps with telling someone, getting in the right mindset, because mine was very direct because I had no idea what to do. And I want you all to have an idea of what you're doing. Having Herp A Derp, being able to really express myself and be with all of you throughout this experience is really something special to me. I know this was a lot for me to share on my first episode, but I really wanted all of you to take the time to know where I'm coming from, the type of story and situation that I had gone through, and to just know that I'm going to be real, I'm going to be raw with you, I'm going to have those zingers and also explicit content, had I not said that in my description, if not already, that I will be very blunt in terms of what I will be talking about on my podcast. And I just really want, to be accepting, because I am a very accepting person, and I hope those who are listening are the same way as well. Now, I want to ask you this. How did you find out you got herpes? Or if you're a friend or a partner listening in, how did your partner get herpes? Were they able to share that story with you? And when you are ready, you're more than welcome to share privately through the Herp A Derp podcast email at, and this is all one word, herpaderppodcast@gmail.com. I really look forward to hearing from you, and just know everyone may not be the same old story, but we are all on this ride of thriving with herpes for a lifetime. Stay positive out there. It's all about confidence. Talk to you soon.